Take a look at that. An extremely powerful Category 4 hurricane. Forecasters are warning of catastrophic rain, wind, and storm surge, which we have already started to feel. We'll have the very latest on the storm in just a moment, but first, let's go to Hallie with the other major stories we're following today.
Tom, thank you. We have some new developments on the crisis in Afghanistan, but first, an emotional day at Dover Air Force Base as the remains of 13 service members return to the U.S. in what's called a dignified transfer. President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden joining the families of the fallen, whose loved ones were killed Thursday in a suicide blast outside the Kabul airport. 11 of them were Marines, one an Army soldier, another a Navy sailor. They are Marine Lance Corporal Kareem Nakui, Navy Corpsman Maxton Soviak, Marine Lance Corporal Riley McCollum, Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, Marine Corporal Hunter Lopez, Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Naus, Marine Lance Corporal Dylan Marola, Marine Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, Marine Humberto Sanchez, Marine Lance Corporal David Espinoza, Marine Corporal Dagan Page, Marine Sergeant Jahani Rosario, and Marine Sergeant Nicole G. Those service members helping in that huge airlift mission to evacuate U.S. citizens and Afghans out of the country, with the Taliban now taking over. President Biden has warned more terror attacks targeting U.S. service members are imminent, and the administration is fighting back. Today, you had U.S. military forces conducting a drone strike that took out a suspected ISIS-K threat. Raf Sanchez is in Doha, Qatar. Raf, what can you tell us about the strike?
Hallie, all day U.S. forces in Kabul were bracing for a possible ISIS attack, and a little after 5 p.m. local time, the U.S. military says it carried out a drone strike on an ISIS vehicle heading towards Kabul airport. It says that vehicle was laden with explosives and posed an imminent threat. The strike happened in a residential neighborhood just west of the airport. The explosion happened near houses, and there are reports from the ground in Afghanistan that a child was killed in that explosion. The U.S. military says it is aware of those reports, but has no indication at this time of any civilian casualties. There are no reports of any injuries to U.S. military personnel, and the evacuation from Kabul airport appears to have continued uninterrupted ahead of President Biden's Tuesday deadline for withdrawing all U.S. forces. Hallie?
Raf, thank you. For the day's other breaking story, we want to head back to Tom Llamas in New Orleans, where Hurricane Ida is really bearing down. Tom, you are in the thick of it.
That's right, Hallie, and conditions are getting worse by the minute. My colleague and friend Sam Brock is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, just north of us. Sam, what are you feeling there? It's starting to get very ugly down here in New Orleans.
Tom, Hallie, good to be with you. The wind is starting to pick up here a little bit. We are right now, as you mentioned, in Baton Rouge. This storm at 150 miles an hour is as strong as any hurricane that has ever struck the state of Louisiana. You're feeling more of those effects right now than we are so far, but give it a few hours. Tom, walk with me for a second. Behind me, you will see all of these bucket trucks that are staged here, hundreds of them. I'm at the Mall of Louisiana as we pan along here, and you can just see they're ready to jump into action as soon as the storm has passed over Baton Rouge. But here's the problem, Tom. Baton Rouge has about 220,000 people in it. East Baton Rouge Parish, which is where we are, has more than 400,000. It is the most populous parish in the state of Louisiana, just over Orleans. No one here was given mandatory evacuations, and in fact, most of the places here don't even have windows that are boarded or sandbags or anything of that nature. As we pan along, you'll see that there is a restaurant across the way here that has some boards up. But as I drove through downtown, Tom, nothing was boarded. There is going to be a Cat 3, potentially at the time, hurricane coming over Baton Rouge in the coming hours, and we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. Back to you.
Yeah, okay, Sam. Yeah, just be careful, because what's coming for you is incredibly dangerous. We're starting to feel some of it here in New Orleans. I want to show our viewers at home what we're looking at right now, and this is just the beginning. We're going to be feeling this for hours right now. We're seeing just a little bit of structural damage right now. Lighting poles here in the French Quarter already starting to be bent. Lighting's coming down, as well as palm fronds and other tree branches are falling. Hurricane Ida is starting to impact the Gulf Coast, but the worst is definitely ahead. Al Roker is tracking Ida for us. Al, what's the latest on the storm's path, and what has changed so far?
Well, I got to tell you, Tom, this will be the first time any state's had two back-to-back in successive years, 150-mile-per-hour plus hurricanes hit. If you look right now, you can see wind gusts of over 75 miles per hour to 50 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. Right now, Ida is currently about 15 miles 57 miles south of New Orleans, 150 mile per hour winds, northwest of 13 for that movement. And this thing is going to start to push its way inland. And as it does, it'll still be a Category 4 storm for another few hours and then drop down to a 2 as it makes its way inland, bringing more heavy rain. We are looking for storm surges of up to 16 feet in some sections along coastal Louisiana. We're also going to be looking at the very dangerous winds, with those winds causing major power outages for a huge area, wind gusts of over 100 miles per hour in some sections, and the rainfall amounts. We're talking isolated amounts, 2 feet of rain, Tom, and that's going to cause big problems because the ground's already saturated here, and as it makes its way up into the Ohio and Mississippi River valleys, it's going to be bringing 3 to 5 inches of rain as well. But as you can see, we are nowhere near through this thing yet. The eye wall making its way into New Orleans, and we're going to continue to have these big problems over the next several hours, at least until later this evening around 10 o'clock, Tom.
All right, Al, we thank you for that. Please stay safe throughout our coverage. And again, it's hard to believe, but this is the 16th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, and now another hurricane, Hurricane Ida, hitting on the same day. The new levee system will be put to the test. Everyone here hoping that they work. I'll have much more tonight in a special edition of NBC Nightly News. And for the very latest, head to NBCnews.com and MSNBC. For Hallie Jackson in Washington, I'm Tom Yamas in New Orleans. This has been an NBC News special report.